Welcome back to Rise Prime Time, and with me for the rest of the program to offer his perspective on those talking points of the day that you heard and more. I'm joined now by the political affairs commentator, a Rise News analyst and lecturer at Bayes University in Abuja, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. Prof, thank you very much indeed for coming in. Let's start with the Abacha loot, which we just heard $23 million recovered, the Americans returning it to Nigeria. But we also heard Rafsanjani, the executive director of CISLAC, saying that it's very difficult, if not impossible, to monitor the movement of those monies in Nigeria. What is your take on that?
I think it's a shame, really, that that observation will have to come to the fore, because there's no reason why such humongous amount of money should not be tracked, and of course it speaks to the problem of accountability and transparency that is lacking in our system. And integral to that is the perennial problem of corruption, where public funds, are largely seen as nobody's funds, as something that should be filtered away.
And these are staggering amounts of money.
And that's the big elephant in our room. There's hardly anything we can do as a nation, there's hardly any progress we can make if scarce lean resources are being filtered away. Unfortunately, these resources, when they are filtered, they are not brought back into the economy. They are either hidden in foreign countries or hidden in vaults, in homes, which have now become like big bank vaults. So it doesn't play any economic role, because they are not brought back into the system to stimulate the economy, increase our GDP, etc., etc. Which is why, we're not justifying the stealing in the first place. We are even saying that, it does a double damage to the system. You steal it, you either waste it or you hide it. And at the end of the day, it is of no use, But what we need to do as a people is actually to strengthen the system, to prevent, this continuous pilfering, because it's continuous and it's systemic.
It's leakages, isn't it?
All kinds of
because broadly speaking, it may well be. They allocate funds to things, but it's the way that it kind of just, trickles away.
I think it's the absence of patriotism and nationalism. Nobody believes in the system. Everybody believes that, what can I get? How can I make my own bit from
But is that from a sense of injustice, that people feel that this country is not just and kind to them? So take what you can when you can. This is your opportunity.
Yeah, but Charles, I think...
Because the country will never reward you.
That's right, but I think it's just a problem with the human nature, particularly when the system is tempting. When you have opportunities you want to exploit. I want to believe that it's not peculiar to the Nigerian person.
It's human nature.
Yes, or to the African. It can happen to anybody. And that's why you see that in systems and society where there are less corruption. Of course, there's corruption everywhere in the world, but it is less in some other systems. It is less because there are safeguards, there are preventive mechanisms, and of course, nations are leveraging on the new gains in communications technology to prevent, human interaction with these transactions, such that they cannot easily manipulate it. We're yet to start doing that, and that's why try as EFCC is doing, try as ICPC is doing. You can still see the prevalence of corruption. That's why every other day we hear salacious stories.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? Yeah. Staggering amounts of money.
You just keep wondering, are this money supposed to be cooked and eaten raw, or is someone else? What are they going to do with this so much money? You just begin to wonder, and it still beggars belief, really, why it is so. But of course, we need to get our hands around it, and getting our hands around it means strengthening the system, developing mechanisms to prevent, this pilfering, such that it wouldn't just be about apprehension, prosecution, and sanctioning alone, which can be very, very laborious. And that's why we're not able to trace these recoveries, these loots recovered. It's not just peculiar to Abacha alone. What about properties? And I want to believe that at the time there was a bill, before the National Assembly, where we'll have a commission that was supposed to take care of all this recovered asset. I'm not sure that a commission has taken off, against the background of complaints that we're having too many commissions, and which is another drain of government. So we have a lot of issues to juggle. But I do believe that corruption, you know, lack of transparency, the absence of accountability are still big elephants that we have to tackle in our room in the build-up to the 2023 election and afterwards.
Well, hopefully that'll be a time going into those elections that politicians can be held to say, what are you going to do about this?
Absolutely.
We've got about 2.5 to 2 minutes 45 seconds or so left. Let's talk about the other big issue. We heard of the elections in Kenya. 7 women governors, they were sworn in today. That is progress, isn't it? In terms of equalizing society. But Nigeria clearly far behind.
Yeah, we're far behind. Do not forget, the societies evolve, you know, at different paces, you know. And of course, the African society, the Asian society largely, you know, are still rooted in some kind of deep cultures and deep histories that try to underplay the role of the woman.
Right.
So we're evolving gradually out of that patriarchal tendency. You know, and that evolution will take time because the cultures are deep-seated, the religion is also deep-seated. It's not peculiar to Nigeria, really, and neither is it peculiar to any particular aspect in Nigeria, whereby some people may even come out to mouth it that women have to be given equal representation, but deep within their heart, you know, they still have these. Yeah,
but the truth is that Africa is making progress. I mean, we just talked about Kenya. We look at Rwanda. We look at Tanzania, and even South Africa.
Yeah, and
I mean, they've all got traditional cultures.
But they didn't just come to. They didn't get to this milestone. Just announcing it, just mouthing it. They took steps beyond the Beijing Declaration. They introduced some affirmative action, some constitutional changes, you know, prescribing some number of seats for women. Otherwise, they will continue to be
so affirmative action is important.
Affirmative action, because there are ways in which there are some disadvantageous pressure tactics that the man, you know, in his domineering nature, you know, may project, you know, to discourage them, which is very unfortunate, really. But affirmative action will be helpful through constitutional means.
Okay. Yeah. Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, it is always a pleasure to have the benefit of your analysis. I want to thank you very much indeed. And he is, of course, the political affairs analyst, Arise News, political affairs commentator, Arise News analyst, and lecturer at Bayes University in Abuja. That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.